As Shakira once said, truthful hits are nothing to be messed with. George, Eric alongside, we are going to discuss some of the most valuable players who don't play quarterback so far in the NFL this season, brought to you, of course, by mybookie.ag. All right, the first question is, how do you do this? Because cross-position comparison, depending on what you do in the NFL and depending who you talk to, people have different ideas of how much it's worth. So start us off with that. How do we measure this?
Yeah, you have to break it down by facets, right? So there are things that people do on the football field. They throw the ball, they catch the ball, they block in the run game, they block in the pass game.
Establish dominance.
Physical dominance is the only one that really matters. And so essentially what you want to do is you want to look at how each one of those facets correlate with wins, and then how well a player does in those facets, and then essentially how often do they do it, and how often do they do it above what would be a theoretical sort of street free agent. And that's how you come up with wins above replacement.
WAR, wins above replacement. That's what we use to cross-compare how valuable a player is. It essentially, as you said, combines how well did you perform and how much did that performance matter to help your team win games. So the obvious thing is that, well, quarterbacks end up at the top because they throw the ball and it's the most valuable thing. So if you're good at it, you're many wins above replacement. And if you're bad, well, we don't want to talk about Deshaun Kaiser from last season, so we will not. We're going to jump into the most valuable non-quarterbacks in a second, but before we get there, a great way that you can capitalize on some of this information is by heading to mybookie.ag. Even if it's not football, if it's some random basketball game, and say you start watching at halftime, mybookie.ag still has you covered because they have in-game live betting. You can use promo code PFF to get a dollar-for-dollar match on your first deposit. It's very simple. PFF plus mybookie.ag. You play, you win, you get paid. All right. Let's answer the question. The most valuable non-QB is who?
Yeah, it's going to be a wide receiver. It's going to be Adam Thielen of the Minnesota Vikings. He's been our highest graded receiver so far. He's propelled an offense I think has a good quarterback, but not a great quarterback in Kirk Cousins, an offensive line that has not been grading well. So there's a lot of wins to be had for a wide receiver in this offense. And while Stephon Diggs has played terrifically, Adam Thielen has been the most productive there so far. And so he rings in as the most valuable non-quarterback in the NFL so far.
Now, I know you want to see all of the most valuable players at each position, and you can do that by heading to ProFootballFocus.com and checking out Mike Renner's article where he has detailed it and written it all out for you as only he can with dulcet tones that pop off the page. Let's talk about one more thing, which is, look, we're almost all the way through the season, but we have 5 weeks of really important football still to go. So what I would say to you is this, okay, Adam Thielen is the most valuable so far. Agree or disagree? By the end of the season, the most valuable non-quarterback will be DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, I agree. I think for a very similar reason in that the quarterback for Houston is playing well, but not sort of elite level play. DeAndre Hopkins has played terrifically, and I think he's catching up to Thielen as the weeks progress. Yeah, I think he's the most talented wide receiver, possibly not named Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown's not quite played as well this season, so Hopkins is a very good choice here. Sort of a dark horse, if you're going to look to the other side of the ball, is Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald has broken the mold in many different ways, both being a defensive player, both being an interior defensive lineman. He's been huge here. If he continues to play sort of as he has for the last month and a half, he might be able to catch a player like Thielen, but I think Hopkins is probably the best opportunity to do so.
And you didn't even mention Aaron Donald's most valuable facet, which is his ability to run the ball.
Oh, yeah.
Would expect as we get into the colder months in LA that the Rams utilize him to his full potential to take them all the way to the promised land. Of course, head to ProFootballFocus.com, check out Mike Renner's article, subscribe to the PFF forecast.